Dang, Danny Garrett in the chase. We
Hello,
missed.
everybody. This is Napa Fan here, and we are here for race number 11 in the RTG Talladega Challenge. This is the first race of the playoffs for these drivers, and it is going to be an intense race because all 10 of the playoff contenders are starting at the back of the field. I'm joined alongside Joe Rutkowski, as you heard. And this is going to be a very wild race with those guys starting in the back. How do you think it's all going to play out with those 10 best drivers in the field starting in the back of the field for this race?
Yeah, so they're in the playoffs because they have won races, and they're the ones that have won the races throughout the season. So obviously they know how to get it done here at Talladega, and it's gonna be interesting to see which ones want to get to the front early and try and make their way through the field and make a charge through the field. Which ones are gonna want to try and lay in the back because there's gonna be some new faces at the front, and they're gonna be racing maybe aggressively, and there might be a crash early on. So it's gonna be interesting. Which ones are gonna be coming up through the front, and which ones are gonna try and stay in the back and miss if a big crash happens early on.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see how those guys maneuver this 66-lap race. 19 to 21-lap fuel window here tonight for these guys, and it's Corey Deal on the pole position in the 944. Alongside him, it's the number 3 machine of David Cannon. In row number 2, we got Jessica Shelton starting alongside J.R. Deal in the 09. In row number 3, Wiley Coate in the 6 to the outside of the number 143 of Bob Dixon. Then we have Greg Lovell in the 880 and the 9 of Chris Elliott. David Lawson in the 18 alongside Seth Cole. That's the top 10 starting positions here from Talladega in the 11th race of the Talladega Challenge for RTG. And here are the 10 chase drivers starting in the back of the field. These are the 10 chase drivers in order of points, in order of bonus points, I should say. Grant Wesley, the regular season champion, 520 points heading into the first race of the playoffs. Richard Martin, Josh Metallic, Joe DiSpirito, Terry Bombard, Donnie Garrett, Bob Seminara, all with wins. Bernie Mobbs and Tim Nosker, along with Mark Pagula, all getting in on points. Those are the 10 drivers who come in as playoff contenders after 2 races. The bottom 2 drivers in points will be eliminated. If you are a chase driver and you win one of these next 2 races, you are automatically locked on to the next round of the playoffs. Here we go. Should be a good one here from Talladega. 66 laps of action. And with all those chase drivers starting in the back, it's going to be a wild race. Corey Deal and David Cannon on the front row. We're here for the 11th race of the season, and we're green flag racing at Talladega in the RTG Talladega Challenge. First lap of action here at Talladega in the outside lane, starting to form up. David Cannon on the outside with help from Jessica Shelton. And the 09 as well, J.R. Deal trying to form that outside lane. Looks like that outside lane might get the first lap lead of the night. We're going to have to see if he can do so. To the inside, Corey Deal trying to get something to work, but it will in fact be the 003 of David Cannon leading lap number 1 here in the 11th race of the season.
Just like we've seen here at the pass of this track, that middle lane works a little bit better than the bottom groove off the corner, especially if there's more cars up there. There's a little bit more grip up there, which means they get better launch off the corners. Obviously, through the corner, shorter way around, you're on the gas the whole way. The inside's going to work, but off the corners, especially with more cars, the outside works in it. David can use that to perfection with the push from behind from Jessica Shelton to get the race lead. Now it looks like the front 3 are going to get clear. 4th place also trying to clear as the inside is starting to fall back.
The inside lane not getting a good run here. Of course, we've seen this in past races where that outside lane gets a good jump initially. David Cannon, Jessica Shelton, J.R. Deal, and Wiley Coate in the 6, all looking to clear that inside lane, but most likely they're going to stay in that outside lane as it is the preferred line here at Talladega. Go back through the field. And our chase drivers, you got Bernie Mobbs, Tim Nofsker hanging in the back, Josh Metallic as well, Bob Seminara, Joe DiSpirito there. Jack Dussault has fallen back a little bit as Grant Wesley starts to move his way through the field. A 3-time winner this season, more than anybody else coming into this race. Richard Martin there on the outside lane as well in number 43, and Terry Bombard ahead of those guys. So Definitely going to be interesting to see which one of these chase drivers gets the best advantage in this race. At the moment, I do believe it's Mark Paglia, the highest of those chase contenders, but they're all still in the back of the field outside the top 20 here on lap number 3. As we go back to the race lead, and Chris Elliott, number 9 to the inside right there. He cleared the inside of Corey Deal, and he's going to try to make something work on the inside lane.
Yeah, so Chris Elliott obviously wanting to experiment with that inside lane, wanting to see how he can lead that inside. Got up to third now, or make it fourth on the outside row. As Wiley Coate fills that outside lane, we'll see if Chris Elliott can do anything with that bottom groove, getting a push from behind from our pole sitter Corey Deal. Right now, the outside, I think this has a little bit better organization, a little bit more numbers, and obviously that advantage of the extra grip up top definitely helping them. But Chris Elliott not going without a fight, trying to get by that 6 and maybe making some contact, trying to get that side draft.
Got a little tight there off of turn number 2. An inside lane, though, is still falling back a little bit, and these guys on the outside gaining an advantage. There's Seth Cole all the way up to the 5th position. Number 72 of Jim Gloud is well up here, and you got David Lawson in the 18. All trying to look to clear that inside lane. Got some 3 wide in the back of the field, and it's including one of our chase contenders, Richard Martin, right there in the 43 machine. Because remember, back race 7 won that wild race that we had here, where the leaders ended up wrecking, and he came from 4th to pass them all and take the race victory. That race victory gave him 5 more bonus points towards the championship here, heading into the playoff. He comes in with 510 points, so looking pretty good. Of course, if any of these chase contenders win here tonight, they're automatically locked on to round number 2. Each round only 2 races long, and the top 4 at the end of round 2, they will be racing for the championship in the final race of the season. Terry Bombard here on the inside lane. Mark Paglia has been surpassed by Richard Martin, and at the moment, Richard Martin, I do believe, is the highest chase contender in the field. But of course, we will have guaranteed 3 pit stops in this race, as the field window is only 19 to 21 laps. And these guys probably going to wait until that cycle begins, because you don't want to get caught up in an accident this early on here at Talladega.
Yeah, these playoff drivers taking it nice and conservative right now. As soon as I say that, we got some 3 wide at the back, but they're, it's an orderly 3 wide. It's not really their 3x3. They're starting to, make some moves, want to get ahead of each other, but they don't want to force the issue to get up through the field. They know there's still 61 laps to go. There's a long race. They don't have to push the issue quite yet. They're showing it. They're hanging around at the back. They're trying to do the best they can to stay out of that main draft in case something does happen at the front. Right now, they're pretty orderly at the front. Single file front 4, and then side-by-side 5th on back. As Chris Elliott hasn't really gone away. He's actually gotten some more help, and he's starting to rally the inside back just a little bit.
Oh, and we still have these guys in the back here. They might be helping each other out here in this single file line, trying to get something to work on the outside lane. And at this point, that might be what they want to do. Of course, they're all competing against each other for the championship, but I don't know if any of them are going to get up to the front in this first run if they don't help each other out. It's a difficult place to work your way from the back to the front, especially this early on. Of course, with the pit stops and the longevity of the race of being 66 laps, these guys are going to have a lot of opportunities to get back up to the front. Of course, a lot of these guys and the rest of the season, the top 3 finishers of the race before start in the back anyways, and obviously those guys have definitely had success in moving their way back through the field pretty well. Here we go, battle for the race lead as the 3 of David Cannon moves to the inside. That's going to open the door for Jessica Shelton and the 09 of J.R. Deal to move to the outside and take the race lead away. Jessica Shelton out front in the FRN car here at Talladega.
Yeah, normally you don't see a car get to the outside of the race leader, so I'm wondering if there was maybe, I don't know if David Cannon wanted to try and see if he could lead the bottom or what happened right there, but Jessica got to the outside, the preferred lane, had all the help from behind, got to the race lead, but David Cannon looking to come back on the inside. There they go!
David Lawson, 18, and we're going to have a big wreck, and chase contenders all pile up. It's a huge wreck in turn number 1, and a lot of the chase contenders caught up in this one. A massive accident on lap number 8. It was David Lawson who got sent around and went back through the field. There's Bob Dixon. He is done. Frank Rivard is done in the 35. Those guys took wild hits. Perry Bond in the 60 spinning around. I'm trying to see if we have any chase contenders with damage. There's Tim Knopsker in the 088. Somebody down low. That's Joe DeSpirito. Came in 4th in the points. One of the chase contenders. Heavy damage on the 24. There's Richard Martin. He did take a hit, but it does appear that he is clean for the moment. So definitely a wild wreck there. Grant Wesley in the 088, or just in the 88 tonight, I should say. Looks like he's clean. But a wild wreck. What was your perspective of all that one, Joe? I saw the 18 go around, and there was pandemonium after that.
Yeah, it just looked like maybe a wrong bump draft. The 18, I assume, got pushed in the wrong area. Maybe had to lift for the car in front, and that didn't get maybe uh, put back throughout the rest of the field. But I believe one of our only playoff drivers that got through it without much damage, Grant Wesley, came as the points leader. He's through it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some others got through, but not that many, and some of them might have some damage. So Grant Wesley definitely the luck on his side early on here at Talladega. That's why we mentioned maybe laying around the back wasn't too bad of an idea early on. Some stuff can happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course, laying in the back might have been the reason why a lot of those guys got caught up. Richard
That too.
Martin and Grant Wesley are really the only two who pulled away, gained a lot of positions from that. Of course, Grant Wesley's a three-time winner for a reason. Did a good job avoiding that accident, but so much going on there. We'll have to review it. But in the meantime, pit stops here at Talladega. Jessica Shelton, first driver on the pit lane, and she's going to bring everybody. Looks like everyone a bit of a stack
Oh
right there.
no!
Wiley Coat checked up, and Chris Elliott got into him, and a lot of guys going around. And you got Grant Wesley and Richard Martin trying to come into the pit lane. All these guys are stacked up at the edge of the pit lane, a lot like the Brickyard a couple weeks ago in the Cup Series.
You can never escape
Thankfully, we don't
danger
have
here.
real-life pit crews here.
My goodness.
The focus with Jessica Shelton, first driver down the pit lane here on that 9 of 66. And we'll have to see where she comes in relation to everybody else. Does look like it might be a fuel-only stop for a lot of these guys, and it will be. Shelton will win the race off the pit lane here at Talladega. Let's go ahead and see what happened to bring out the first caution of the night. And the 18 of David Lawson took a wild, wild ride. We'll show you this right here. Went around there, and the 880 there also getting caught up. Joe DeSpirito had nowhere to go. He got slammed in the outside wall. Same with Josh Metallic. 62 there of Ronald Lucet. Look at this. Absolutely unbelievable. A massive accident early on here. Frank Rivard flipping upside down. Of course, David Lawson took the most wild ride of all those guys. And Mark Paglia back in there. Bernie Mobbs got a piece of this one. There's Bob Dixon. The Ellisaur's upside down. Brian Lovell in the 043. Got the 13 around as well of Dave Melson. 26 B. Ellisaur. I already mentioned him. So many guys caught up. It's hard to keep track of them all. And the first timer there, number 020 of Michael Brown, also got a piece of that one. John Godfrey in the 711 as well. And then Mark Paglia with a little bit of damage. So much to keep track of. I think two major guys got knocked out. Josh Metallic in the 39. I think he's going to be out of the race there. I think Tim Nofsker avoided that one. But Nofsker and DeSpirito, or should I say, not Nofsker, DeSpirito, Metallic and DeSpirito, the two guys in the chase who got knocked out in that one. You see DeSpirito and all his damage. He took a hard hit there to the outside wall. Just a wild accident there on lap number 8 as they were coming to complete lap 7. We're going to focus here a little bit slower on the 18 of David Lawson. And he's bump drafting the 72 of Jim Gloud ahead of him. And Gloud moves up just a little bit. Lawson has a run, and hard to tell from this angle what happens. I'm wondering there if the 56 of Crivello got into him possibly. 143 of Bob Dixon had nowhere to go, and the 880 of Greg Lovell reacted and spun around, and Richard Martin did not gain too much damage in this one. He just simply spun around, so he should be able to continue, but a lot of these guys you see upside down will probably not be able to continue. Josh Metallic especially, and obviously we saw DeSpirito get involved as well in the 24. Bernie Mobbs in the 90, he also might be out. Another chase contender. Have to see who all gets knocked out from this one once we get back, but really tough break for those guys. Going to replay this one more time in real time. Get the full effect of this one. We're going to focus with the 18 there of David Lawson.
To me, that almost looked like a bumper grab with the 18 getting into the 72.
Yeah, it's tough to tell. Obviously, just a racing incident. These guys going really fast here around the Talladega Superspeedway. That one was a little wild. Didn't
Just a
quite
little bit.
expect that this early on here tonight at Talladega, but that's the way it rolls sometimes, and this place owes you nothing. Get back to racing here in just a moment. Jessica Shelton is your race leader. Then it's J.R. Deal, David Cannon, Jeff Crivello, Grant Wesley all the way up, and I think he gained a lot of positions because of that pit road stack-up that we had. So the 88 machine is currently in the 5th position, I do believe. Wiley Cope there is 6th. Jeffrey Elliott in the 7th position, and I mistakenly said that was Jeff Crivello a little bit earlier. That's not. That is Jeffrey Elliott in the 056. Our pole sitter Corey Deal there in 8th. Jim Gloud in 9th, and Michael Brown in the 10th position. You got Seth Cole there in 11th. Tim Nosker able to avoid that one. Mark Paglia as well. He's still out there. Terry Bombard, John Godfrey, Richard Martin also avoided that one. Perry Bond, Brian Lovell, David Lawson, Dave Melson, Glenn Harris, Bernie Mobb still out there in the 90. Bielisor, Wayne Pribb now in the 009 of Chris Elliott, in the 143 of Bob Dixon, the 712 of Bob Seminara. Didn't mention him, but he did get caught up in that one. Another one of our chase contenders, and he will still be out there. Cy Jones in the 7 down the pit lane, but those are the only guys still left in the race. Who do we got out right now, Joe?
All right, so out of the race, we have the 36 car, the 39 Josh Metallic. That's big there for the points, obviously. You have the 62 out. 35 is also out, along with the 880. That's Greg Lovell. And obviously, then you have the 21 out of Joe DeSpirito. So there are some big points updates right there.
Yeah, Metallic, DeSpirito, 2 big ones right there. Obviously, they're both in the chase. And you got to remember, too, the 2 guys who are lowest in points at the end of 2 races, given that one of those 2 guys doesn't have a win, because it's very possible one of those guys could have a win and still be one of the last 2 guys in points. But got to think, too, at the end of the race next week, we're going to be eliminating 2 guys from this playoff, and who knows, if things get crazy enough, it could end up being Metallic and DeSpirito, which would be something else. Those 2 guys, both winners this season, and it's a really tight field. These guys are all on each other, very good drivers, and you got to eliminate somebody. It's just the way the system works. But it would be something if those were the 2 guys who would get knocked out right away. But either way, we still got a race here tonight. Going to restart lap 13 of 66. Jessica Shelton, your race leader in the number 94. Then the 09 of J.R. Deal. We got David Cannon, Jeff Crivello, Grant Wesley, Wiley Coe, Jeffrey Elliott, Corey Deal, Jim Gloud, Michael Brown. That's the top 10. We have 1 chase driver inside the top 10. That is Grant Wesley, a 3-time winner this season, looking for his 4th on the year. Here we go. Coming to the restart zone, the number 94 of Jessica Shelton leads us back to the green flag here at Talladega.
A little late there, but green flag back out. Maybe tried to play a little game there. JR Deal as well was trying to maybe anticipate it. It'll be 2 by 2 entering turn number 1.
We're going to have to see if the outside lane gets an advantage this time. Jessica Shelton actually used that outside lane to get to the race lead as she got around David Cannon. That inside lane, they got Grant Wesley helping them here, and we're going to have to see what this chase driver can do in the mix of all these guys who have yet to win a race this season. But that's 88 machine. Grant Wesley looking really strong right now inside the 4th position at the moment, trying to work that inside lane. And that inside lane definitely looks a lot stronger now than it did at the initial start of the race. Got JR Deal trying to lead that outside lane with the 56 of Jeff Crivello right behind him. And the 056 to the inside of Crivello, that's Jeffrey Elliott trying to work that inside lane. But it will be Jessica Shelton leading lap 13 here at Talladega.
And if I'm Grant Wesley, I'm very happy where I am right now because obviously got a lot of playoff drivers maybe a little bit further back. He's up in 3rd right now. He's done a great job getting through the field. He got very lucky missing that crash. So if I'm him, I'm just happy staying in 3rd to just, just ride around and stay up at the front, maybe get those points at the end of the night and maintain his position in points.
Yeah, of course, up front might be the safest place to be here at Talladega with what we saw in that first accident. Look through the field, see where the other chase competitors are. And we got ourselves the number 20 of Mark Pagula there in the 14th position. Richard Martin right behind him in 16th. Still, a lot of these chase drivers are off the pace at the moment. Bernie Montfors obviously was involved in the accident, currently in the 22nd position. And Bob Seminara there in 27th.
Wesley for the lead.
And this is huge for Grant Wesley. Of course, a win automatically puts you into the next round. But either way, if Grant Wesley can finish this race inside the top 5 tonight, odds are he won't have any trouble making it in next week on the points. Stranger things have happened, but with how many guys are knocked out of the chase competitors from that first accident, odds are Grant Wesley, as long as he can get a good run here tonight, will have it pretty easy next week. And of course, he could easily get the win. All of his chase competitors are not really along with him at the moment, and it might be a little bit of an easier win for Grant Wesley at this point. But Jessica Shelton putting up a great fight on the outside lane. The outside lane is starting to kick in a little bit better, but the inside is led by Grant Wesley in the 88.
And you can see there's a lot more cars on the inside. I mean, the outside's, they got cars, but they're not that organized. Those front three were kind of breaking away. So I was kind of expecting that inside to maybe hold serve beside the 94. They weren't able to do that right there with Grant leading it. So it'll be interesting to see if they can keep chipping away at it and trying to get there. But right now, that outside, definitely the preferred lane. Shelton is leading it around. Obviously, with the leader out in front of it, that would be the preferred lane. But we'll see if Grant can do anything on that bottom.
Of course, there is one chase driver in the field who, or should I say, one chase driver who isn't in the field. A shout out to Donnie Garrett. Thank you for calling in there at the top of the show, and I hope you're enjoying your vacation down there in Virginia Beach. Of course, that also plays into this whole chase format because Donnie Garrett is also going to be behind in next week's race. You're also going to have Josh Metallic, Joe DeSpirito along with them, who are going to be going in the race without any points. So going to be interesting to see how that plays out next week, but I hope you're having a great vacation, Mr. Garrett, and have to see. You're going to give a good run for him next week. Maybe you'll end up with the race victory. It's going to be fun to see how it all works out next weekend with the chase going on. Jessica Shelton, though, currently leading. Grant Wesley, really the only chase driver who's having a decent run at the moment. Of course, Mark Paglia, Richard Martin there on the inside lane. They are still in this pack as well. And also the number 10 machine of Terry Bombard with Tim Nofsker also running up front. So we got about 5 of these chase drivers currently in this lead pack. Bernie Mobbs is starting to rejoin the lead pack as well, but as for Bob Seminara, he's lost the draft. So 6 of the 10 chase drivers inside this lead pack at the moment, and the highest finisher, or highest running driver, I should say, the 88 of Grant Wesley, only driver inside the top 10 who is currently in the chase. But Tim Nofsker, 088, looking to close in there on the inside lane.
Wiley Coe trying a third lane right there. Got up in front of our pole sitter, Corey Deal. They're trying to make something work way up top 3 wide. Michael Brown also up there along with Perry Bone in the 60. Down bottom, some chasers just trying to ride around and try and just log some laps here. We're not even a third of the way done with this race. So these drivers know there's still lots of time left. You don't have to be at the front right now and just kind of log some laps, run in this inside lane and maybe make it work out. But right now that outside, that middle lane, I should say, definitely the preferred lane with Shelton, Cannon, and third place JR Deal basically clearing that inside at this point.
Yeah, now you got Seth Cole, though. He's in that middle lane, but he's in the sucker hole right now, falling back in that 07. And that might affect those guys who are leading in the middle lane. That might help out Wiley Coe in the 6 and Grant Wesley on the inside, because these 4 guys, they don't really have any help behind them. They're doing a great job with Jeff Crivello, JR Deal, David Cannon, and Jessica Shelton. Shelton's done a great job in this race leading this field. But you do have Grant Wesley in the non-preferred lane holding on. Ooh, a little squirrely right there. It was Jim Gloud in the 72, almost went around. Gotta think, too, you got all these chase drivers who are still in the back of this pack, like Nofsker, like Paglia, like Terry Bombard, like Richard Martin. Richard Martin is going to get shuffled out to the outside lane. He's going to lose the position there to Terry Bombard in the 10.
At 6, really making some good progress in the outside, trying to go outside of third place JR Deal. But at some point, that run will stall out, and you might see some drivers maybe try and jump up in front and protect that lane. But at some point, when you get up closer to the front, it will stall out. And now that inside, definitely moving back. Those front 4 in the middle now, they're not getting any turbulence with them. They can now try and pull away in that middle lane. It looks like now that outside is starting to fade back as they're getting a little squirrely in that middle lane.
Yeah, Jeffrey Elliott there in the 56. He got shuffled to the middle lane right there, and now he's going to fall back. It's Grant Wesley, Jim Glad, and Tim Nofsker. Now you have all the chase drivers pretty much on each other. The only outlier on that inside lane at the moment is Jim Glad in the 72, but 5 of the chasers right there on the inside lane. The only 2 still in the race, Bernie Mobbs and Bob Seminara, are not in that line. Bernie Mobbs is in this pack currently in the number 90, but he is struggling to keep on, and Bob Seminara has lost the draft. The other 2 chase drivers who started this race, Josh Metallic, Joe DeSpirito, out at the moment after that big wreck that we had, and did not start for
Jeff
Johnny
Crivello
Garrett.
to the lead.
And we have a lot of shuffling going on right there. That inside lane gained a lot of momentum, and Crivello peeked down to the inside, and now we're going to have
Lap
David
traffic.
Lawson, a lap car, get in the way, and these guys are 3 wide, so this is going to get really interesting, but that middle lane lost a lot of momentum, and Crivello to the point in the 56. They will get around David Lawson all right, so great job out of those guys avoiding the 18. But now the inside lane, preferred line here. Grant Wesley, Jim Cloud, Tim Nosker, Mark Paglia, and the 10 of Terry Bombard, all inside the top 10 right now, working that inside lane as that middle lane lost a lot of momentum.
And that was a perfect move for Jeff Corello, moving down to that inside from the middle. He timed it just perfectly to get down in front of Wesley right there, and then Wesley gave him a great boost through the tri-oval, which got him to the inside Shelton and basically propelled him right by her. I mean, it was like she was standing still, and now that inside lane got away, and front 5 on the inside. But look at that, we're moving even lower now.
Whoa, here come the chasers to the inside of the non-chasers. Grant Wesley, Tim Nosker, and Mark Paglia all on the inside lane. They're looking to get around Jeff Crivello and the 72 of Jim Cloud. And Wesley to the point, a very common sight so far this season. He's getting his first lap lead of the night, given that Nosker doesn't try to move to the inside, but still a little early for that type of move. Grant Wesley in the 88 first lap led here tonight at Talladega for the points leader.
And now these people up there in points, they're starting to show themselves. Front 3 on the inside, trying to make their way up and trying to get some points. You have Terry Bombard trying to move forward. You have the 43 coming forward. So now the chasers and the playoff drivers starting to move forward, make themselves known at the front of the field, just like they have been all season long.
Yeah, Richard Martin here in the 43 as well. I'm wondering if he has just enough damage where it's slowing him down just a little bit. He was involved in an accident, moderate damage on for these guys, and that could be slowing him down if he does have a piece of aerodynamic damage from that accident. But he is still hanging on, and with the draft, it's a great equalizer, so he's able to get a good run regardless. But I don't know if he's going to be able to get to the race lead, given, of course, the way he won his second race this season was because the top 3 wrecked, and he drove right by him. So anything is possible, but as long as you're in this lead pack, you still have a shot at winning this race, even if you do have a little bit of damage. We're going to have to see how that affects Richard Martin as the night goes on, but the chasers have shown up now. Grant Wesley, Tim Nosker, Mark Paglia. It took them only a third of the race to get up here. Then again, they did have that wreck to help them out a little bit, but they have definitely shown their prominence here at Talladega, and they are looking to dominate the rest of this race.
And right now they're not thinking about moving out of line. They're staying orderly. I mean, they've had runs to get by our race leader Wesley, but they're not pulling out. They know that right now there's no need to do that. They could just ride those front 3 in line. Jessica Shelton might be one to try and move. Same with Jeff Crivello. But right now with those front 3 at the front, I think they're in a pretty good spot to just stay ahead of the madness. And we're also getting single filed out, which is really good to see. They can try and just log some laps here and make it to the next pit stop.
We last pit, I believe, lap number 9. So in about 4 to 7 laps, roughly, we're going to see ourselves some green flag pit stops as long as we stay green here at Talladega. It's a lot more orderly now than it was when we had that large accident earlier on in the race. So odds are we should hopefully be able to get to that green flag cycle. Terry Bombard, another one of the chasers, trying to work the outside lane right here, and it's not working out too well for him at the moment. Then again, all these guys getting single file, that's going to help them out tremendously. But Bombard is trying to get something to work up there so he can get to the rest of his chase competitors. And Bombard, I believe, got caught up just a little bit in that accident as well. So along with Richard Martin, could have a slight bit of damage from that. So that could be hurting him there in the number 10 machine right now. As for Grant Wesley, Tim Nosker, they're obviously really fast, holding on to this race lead here. Mark Paglia as well in the 28. Now, Mark Paglia and Tim Nosker are 2 chase drivers who have not won a race yet this season, and they're both in the catbird seat to possibly win here tonight if things go their way. 2nd and 3rd right now, so going to be interesting to see if one of those non-win chasers can get the race victory here tonight.
That'd be the perfect time to get that first win, too. You get to advance through and just don't have to worry about the next race. Obviously, you enter with the lowest points without winning a race. So you're already in a hole as is. So going out and winning would just relieve all stress for those non-win chasers. But the 3-win chaser currently out in front, Grant Wesley, showing them the way like he has most of the season.
Grant Wesley doing a great job right now. Of course, I think these guys, Nosker and Paglia, they're content to stay behind him at the moment. Obviously, we're going to have green flag pit stops here in a moment, so no need to race him hard, and that's why these guys are as good as they are. They know when to race the race leader, and with us not even halfway to the finish of this race yet, these guys definitely going to keep it calm right now. I mean, we saw what happened earlier on when you had just one little mistake. I don't think these guys are going to risk getting knocked out this early on here at Talladega. Obviously, they've benefited from other chase drivers getting knocked out early on in regards to the championship. So we're just going to have to see how it all plays out here. But in the next couple of laps, these guys will be coming down for green flag pit stops. And from there, it should be a one-stop race. So only 2 stops left to go here in this race, including the one that's just about to happen. So it's going to be interesting to see how the strategy plays out. But if we get green flag pit stops, the field will spread out. We're going to have to see who gets the advantage in these green flag stops once they occur.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who pits with who pits sooner, who pits later. You know, you obviously have some friends that you want to pit with, and you're gonna have to call it out as well. So that'll be interesting to see, you know, who goes when, who goes with who, and will these front 3 chasers go with each other? You know, will some non-chasers go with each other? Obviously, the outside lane working well. They're probably gonna be one of the last to pit because they have to get down low. So it'll be interesting to see what drivers like Jeffrey Elliott and Terry Bombard do when this pit cycle starts, because it's coming any lap now.
Yeah, Jeffrey Elliott, great run for him here tonight at Talladega. See where he is in the points. Kind of deep in the points. I do not see him up there, so definitely great to see Jeffrey Elliott have a good run here in the 056. I don't think he's made too many starts this season, which is partly why he's not up there in the points, but he's working that outside lane right there with Terry Bombard, and they're getting a better momentum than they were earlier on. So we're going to have to see if that 056 could possibly move up a little bit. We got some other guys, Jessica Shelton, Jeff Crivello, these non-chasers working to possibly defeat the chasers here. We're going to have kind of a big team battle here between the non-chasers and the chasers in this race. Jessica Shelton now with a huge run on the outside of Mark Paglia here.
I think they're
I would imagine, though, that these guys are going to be coming down here soon, and they will be. Grant Wesley's going to stay out. Tim Nosker's down. Same with Mark Paglia. And these guys also running in the lap traffic at the same time. So much going on here early on.
6 cars to pit road.
Pit stop cycle. The Nosker's down. It looks like he might be taking right side tires. And he'll go, I believe, with 4 fresh Goodyears on. Nope, he's just going to go with right sides there. So that might be the call for a lot of these guys. Tim Nosker coming off the pit lane. Richard Martin going to be right behind him. Same with Mark Paglia here in the 28. They should all be in the same draft once this cycle ends. The big question is, where will they be, I should say, in relation to the guys who stayed out here. Grant Wesley staying out an extra lap. Definitely an interesting call there. He didn't go with the rest of the chasers, but he's going to come down right here on lap 30.
And this is a bigger pack, so watch out for some sort of collision. They are doing a great job as of now. They did a great job right there. So many cars.
I think that was Corey Deal almost hit the inside wall. He was really down low coming down the pit lane right there.
Looked like
44.
Grant Wesley may have overshot his pit stall just a little bit, so that might slow down his stop, but he did a great job getting it back in.
Grant Wesley kind of in the back of the field. Obviously, these drivers did not qualify, so all their pit stalls are right at the beginning of the pit lane. There's Grant Wesley coming off. Terry Bombard in the 10 going to be right off with him, and obviously because Wesley overshot his pit stall, that might hurt him a little bit here. We're going to have to see where he comes in relation to the rest of the field, but he is going to fall back. Some guys coming off ahead of him here of these guys who just came down. I believe the 56 of Jeff Crivello is also going to win the race off there of those guys. Jessica Shelton also going to be ahead of Grant Wesley as well. And here comes the number 088 of Tim Nosker. Along with Mark Paglia, we'll have to see if they can get around our race leaders. They got a full head of steam on this outside lane, and it looks like they're going to get the advantage on the field here.
Yeah, and Jeff Crivello out there sitting still. I mean, all by himself, so they're going to easily get a run onto him. So those two did it right, but now that's only going to be 2 of them versus the rest of the field. So once they get out front, they might be looking like they're sitting still.
Tim Nosker going to have some help there from Mark Paglia. How about this? 2 of the chase drivers who have yet to win a race this season. After the cycle of pit stops, they're going to be 1-2. However, Jessica Shelton and all these guys, Grant Wesley, they are going to rejoin the top 2 in a pack here soon. And Terry Bombard, a huge winner on that cycle. He was a little ways back before the cycle began, but now he's inside the top 10 and about to move his way inside the top 5. And if the number 10 can get around Crivello here, 4 of the top 5 drivers, chase drivers, the only one not in the chase, Jessica Shelton in the 94. And Shelton's going to try to work the outside lane here on Nosker and Paglia with help from Grant Wesley. That's a guy you probably want to have behind you. You obviously know he's going to be fast. Shelton to the outside lane, going to take the race lead away from Tim Nofsker.
And it all happened, that little gap that those front two formed to create a nice bubble there for those drivers. And look at
And
Grant
there goes Wesley to the inside.
What a move.
Trying to cross over there on the number 94 of Jessica Shelton at the stripe, though. I believe Shelton might get the advantage here. She will. Jessica Shelton will lead lap number 33 next time by. It's halfway here at Talladega. On the inside lane there, Tim Nofsker, Mark Paglia. That's the same exact order they were before this cycle began. But this time they got some company on the outside with Terry Bombard, Jeff Gravello, and the other 56, the 056 of Jeffrey Elliott has joined these guys. And how about Michael Brown? One of his first starts in the series inside the top 10 right now. He's going to leave this single file line of guys right to the back bumper of this lead pack because these guys, they're going side by side. They got a single file line here. Richard Martin part of this group as well, another one of the chase competitors. And now they're running into lap traffic. Chris Elliott in the 9 going to get in the way here as Grant Wesley, with help from Tim Nofsker, going to hold the inside lane. And Wesley's going to lead at the halfway point here in race 11.
Yeah, this is getting a little intense as drivers try to get around the lap car. Chris Elliott, they have runs onto the draft. I mean, it's so cool to see when those drivers have runs, when they get single filed out, they're side-by-side front, the big runs they get with that gap, and seeing where they go with the runs, just spectacular to see what they do with them. But right now, the inside lane, only 4 cars. That outside lane, a lot more cars and a little bit more organized.
Look at Michael Brown. He's joined this inside lane. First timer along with a lot of chase drivers. Talladega, the great equalizer, no doubt about it. But Wesley, I think he might have the advantage right here. But the thing is, I think Wesley might want to keep Nofsker behind him. I think the chase drivers, at this point at least, the ones who are still in the race, are kind of working together to kind of stick with each other. Obviously, they're the fastest cars on the racetrack, and that's going to help them out. But then you got these guys up on the outside. Of course, Terry Bombard is a chase driver, but he's kind of been mired back a lot of this race, so he's going to do anything he can to get around these guys ahead of him. But Jessica Shelton there, Jeff Gravello, and Jeffrey Elliott all in that outside lane. And now we got 2 lines pretty much even, and no advantage to either driver. Deadlock up front between Shelton and Wesley.
Yeah, 2x2 all the way back at this main pack. But as you mentioned, I definitely think Wesley, Nofsker, and Paglia are working together. They were on the inside that whole last run, all 3 of them together. But Terry Bombard's kind of like the lone wolf on the outside of those chasers, going like, well, I want to get to that lead. I want to be out in front of all you guys. So he's trying to push Shelton by, but I just think those guys on the inside are too strong. I mean, Wesley's won a lot, and obviously those other 2 with Nofsker and Paglia, they haven't won, but they're in the chase for a reason because they've run so well, so they know how to be up at the front of the field. So I think those 3 definitely powerhousing their way by that outside lane. You can see it, all 3 of them are clear now.
Good run for those guys on the inside lane. Of course, at this point in the race, only 1 caution. The massive accident we had on lap number 8 that took out 2 of our chase competitors, Josh Metallic and Joe DeSpirito. Of course, Johnny Garrett did not start, so 3 chase drivers going to be heading into the second race in a deep bubble. As for the other 7, Bob Seminara and Bernie Mobbs, they have lost the main draft. We're trying to see where they are, but they are together right here. Actually, Seminara is a lap down in the 7-12. Bernie Mobbs there has lost the draft, and the number 90 currently running in the 17th position. So going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out at the end of the race. It's starting the single file out in the lead pack. I'm going to ask you, Joe, do you think we're going to see another caution in this race? It is possible that this thing could go green, considering a lot of those guys were knocked out in that first accident. And if that's the case, who do you think is going to get the race victory here?
Yeah, this has been an interesting one because the ones I've done it here at Talladega, we've normally seen it clean and green at the beginning, and then we get some yellows towards the middle of the race and then later in the race. So this one's kind of been the opposite. We had that big crash early on. It's been clean since then. I do think once we obviously get after that last pit stop, that's when I think they'll ride until that pit stop. We pit around lap 30 there a little bit before. So once we get to that point around lap 50 or so, and after we make those pit stops, we're probably going to see them start racing harder, trying to make moves on the outside and trying to pass each other. So that could lead to accidents. But if it stays green, I definitely want to look at those front 3 as one of them being the race winner, one of our chasers, either Paglia, Nofsker, or Wesley, because they've worked together. I think they'll have no problems working together until the last lap. So I think if those 3 can maintain that track position, they'll be hard to beat.
Well, just for everyone's information, Grant Wesley just ran his fastest lap. So these guys in that slipstream in the single file line, same with Mark Paglia, they're definitely looking to log these laps at this point and get to that final pit stop. But it's going to be interesting. Like you mentioned, after that pit stop, you got to think a win for any of these chase drivers locks them into the next round of the chase. And if that's the case, they don't have to worry about next week. So we're going to have to see how hard Novsker and Paglia are going to go for it if they're right behind Wesley coming to the checkered flag. Neither of those guys have won a race yet this season. They've both been extremely consistent, but they've yet to see victory lane here, the Talladega Challenge. We're going to have to see if either of those guys can surpass the 88 at some point throughout the race. Lap 39 of 66 next time by, 27 laps to go here at Talladega. And Michael Brown there, the highest non-chaser. How about this one for Michael Brown? One of the newest drivers to the series, and he's been doing an excellent job here. Did get caught up a little bit in that big accident earlier on, but he has found his way inside the top 5, and now he's going to try to work the outside lane. Jessica Shelton coming with Richard Martin on that outside. We're going to have to see if Michael Brown could possibly make his way to the race lead.
Yeah, he saw Shelton coming down that outside and said, I'll jump up with you. I have nothing to lose. I mean, those front three have something to lose, and I don't really have anything to lose. So why not try and make that work? And they have chasers with them. Richard Martin, Terry Bombard are working that outside, trying to make something work. They want to get up to the front. Those have been two drivers that have been experimenting with that outside that whole last run. Now with this run, Bombard especially has been out there making moves all race long. So it'll be interesting to see if this outside has anything against those front three.
We're going to have to see. This could get interesting. I don't really know how fast that 020 is. Of course, given it is a fixed setup for these guys. So that definitely, I at least do believe, is a fixed setup. If I'm wrong, please do correct me. But all these guys, there's different skill levels. But at the end of the day, it's still Talladega. It's still a super speedway race. And obviously, what we've seen, did have that one big accident, but outside of that, these guys have kept a very clean race going. Great job for these guys doing that. I hope I don't jinx it again. Knock on my wood desk again for that. But Michael Brown's coming. That 020, they're bringing that outside lane pretty much even with the inside at this. They have more drivers, of course, but as we've seen throughout the race, that outside lane has been a bit of a more preferred line compared to the inside lane. We're just going to have to see what Michael Brown can do here on the 88 of Grant Wesley. But how about this? This is like Justin Haley winning a race.
Yeah, he's getting there. Obviously, that outside lane, a little bit worse through the corners, but these long straightaways, you get such a good run down them. I mean, that's great momentum to have down the straightaways. So Michael Brown using that to his advantage, getting a nice push, obviously, from, we know Jessica Shelton has been fast here tonight. She's been up there leading and contending inside the top 5. So we know she knows how to lead. She's trying to push Michael Brown to the top spot, and then you have those two chasers back there too. But now the inside starting to gain a little bit more momentum out of the tri-oval, and now the front three looking to clear again.
And Richard Martin going to move down to the inside. That's going to hurt that outside lane a little bit right there. I did notice Jim Gloud in the 72 backed off from the 3 chase drivers ahead of him just a little bit. That hurt the inside, but with Richard Martin going down, that's going to really hurt the outside lane. And Richard Martin might actually be able to clear Michael Brown here in a couple of laps. But how about Michael Brown still trying to hold on to that outside lane? That was a bold move out of the 020. And why not experiment? I mean, not running for the championship anymore. He wasn't running for the championship at all this season. Obviously, he's one of his first starts in the series, but still. Now, definitely experimenting, trying to get something to work there. Jessica Shelton just moved to the inside, and now he's starting to slip back. Now, Chaser, Terry Bombard behind him there in the 10 machine. You got Chris Elliott here. He's a lap down in the 9, but he is just as fast, these guys, and running with the lead pack. So we'll have to see how that affects the rest of the race. But now back to single file up front here as Grant Wesley continues to hold off Tim Knopfsker and Mark Paglia, Jim Gloud, and Richard Martin. That is the top 5. Only non-chaser in the top 5 right now is Jim Gloud in the 72. And now Crivello going to clear Terry Bombard as Michael Brown moved his way back to the inside lane. He tried it. This didn't work in the end for the 020, but still, over 20 laps left to go in this race. Next time by 23 to go here at Talladega.
And when they were making the outside work, as soon as Richard Martin saw a hold down line behind some of his friends in the playoffs, he decided to make that move down. And that definitely did hurt the outside, but you can't really blame Richard Martin at this stage. He came in second in the points. So why not get down to that bottom right around in 5th? He got spots out of that. I mean, he was outside the top 10 before he made that move. Now he's riding around in 5th. Obviously, there might be some damage there. He's trying to experiment running high and maybe get some runs. But, riding there in 5th, good points day. I'm sure he would take that and run with it, especially after being sideways in that big crash.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 43 could have easily been knocked out like Josh Metallic and Joe DeSpirit on an accident and was caught up in it, but thankfully he did not get as near of hard of a hit as Metallic or DeSpirito did, so he's still running here inside the top 5. I think that'd be a win for Richard Martin, all things considered, from that accident. We've had a lot of guys on the tail end of the lead lap get lapped here. Glenn Harris and BL Sore there. They're about to be lapped. Bob Seminara, obviously we mentioned him. He is already a lap down and off the pace here. He's got Perry Bond and Cy Jones running with them. And then you got the 043 Brian Lovell. I believe he's also a lap down. He's lost the draft. Rain Pribb now in the 00. Bernie Mobbs, a chase driver here in 17th. Not the best of runs, but he did gain some damage, I do believe, from that accident, and that's hurt him there in the number 90 machine. Still hanging on. If we get a caution, he will get back in with the rest of the drivers in this race, get back into the draft. John Godfrey as well in the 7-11. Dave Melson off the pace. Seth Cole also lost the draft, but 14 guys in the lead draft right now, and they are led by points leader Grant Wesley in the 88 machine.
And we're coming around to 21 to go right here. That is the edge of that fuel window. So now this could be the start of pit cycles. You can see pit stops start any lap now. You obviously might want to take it out longer, but you could pit sooner and hope that maybe a yellow comes out for people spinning on the pit road or something along the lines of that. So it'll be interesting to see if these drivers had to pit now or if they want to extend it out as long as they can. I would personally extend it as long as I could, but we'll see if maybe some drivers towards the back of this want to do something.
We're going to have to see because they're just about to enter the window. 19 to 21 lap fuel window. Obviously, you want to err on the side of caution, so I don't think any of these guys will come before 19 laps to go. But Grant Wesley holding on. Tim Nosker, Mark Bagley. You got to think, too, Grant Wesley, he's been leading a lot in this race. He has slightly worse fuel mileage than the rest of these guys. Not that that's really going to be an issue in this race. He might have to come down before Paglia and Nosker behind him. So we're just going to have to see if that's the case for Grant Wesley in this one. But for the most part, as long as we have a clean cycle, I would imagine we're going to see these same three guys up front once we finish the cycle battling for this race victory.
And how about Terry Bombard still working the outside? He's been a trooper tonight. He's been up there almost every single lap, and he's outside Richard Martin for fifth, so he's made some good inroads on that outside lane, getting a push from behind from Wiley Coate and Corey Deal as well up there, and you have the lap car Chris Elliott. So it'll be interesting to see if they can make some moves. Obviously, pit cycles could be starting any lap now. Them being on the outside doesn't help that. You know, they won't be able to pit until they get down, but it looks like some drivers are coming down, maybe?
Now, it is David Lawson, who is a few laps down. Obviously had that big moment earlier on, so not a lap car, or not a lead lap car, I should say. Big shout out to Corey Deal, started on the pole, and obviously we saw him have his issue there under the caution when they were coming down the pit lane, but he is still in this lead pack with a shot at winning this race. Great job holding on to that 944. I don't think he led a lap in this one, but he's done an excellent job so far in this race, and kudos to him having a great run here at Talladega. Now it's starting to get interesting. Terry Bombard, he's really working that outside lane right now.
Pit cycle's starting this lap. We have the 28 coming in. The 43 is going to be coming in, the 94. So it's going to be starting right here.
Oh, Jim Glaude on the apron already. But cycle's open. See who comes down. Grant Wesley going to lead Tim Nosker and Mark Paglia down. Nosker on the inside lane there of the 88 machine, and they're clean entering the pit lane. So Nosker and Wesley, we're going to focus with these guys here. Top three, Grant Wesley, Mark Paglia, Tim Nosker have all been very, very good in this race so far. We're going to have to see if these guys have good pit stops, if they can get in the same draft with each other for this race. Richard Martin also came with these guys as well in the 43, so we'll have to see if he can join these guys. Grant Wesley off first. Mark Paglia is going to be second ahead of the 088 of Nosker, but they're all going to be right with each other here once
Richard
they come
Martin
off the
had
pit
a slow
lane.
stop. Richard Martin was slower. I don't know if he's gonna have to draft after that.
He was a little bit farther behind than those top three. Keep that in mind as well. David Cannon coming off the pit lane. A lot of guys actually beating Richard Martin off. So not a good stop there for the 43. That's going to hurt him a little bit. Grant Wesley, though, won the race off of those guys. He is not currently the race leader. Terry Bombard has led a lap in the number 10 machine, but now he is down the pit lane. Have to see how it works out for the number 10 machine here. Left sides for these guys. They took right sides in the last stop.
I think Terry Bombard took 4 in that one. Something
he might have.
Thought I saw the right side up on that
car. You might be right.
I mean, you take a full tank of fuel.
He may not have taken tires the last time around.
And you take a full tank of fuel, you know, that's basically the amount of time it takes to put 4 tires on.
Well, here are the top 4. It's Wesley, Paglia, Nosker, and Glaude.
Caution's out.
Oh, yellow on the racetrack.
That's big.
And Bernie Mobs down the backstretch in the 90 win around. That is all I currently see. B. Ellisor in the 26, also slow on the apron. And my goodness, that's going to shake things up for this one.
Yeah, those people that pit sooner, they're going to lose track position now because it's where you cross that line. So Wesley came
I
across
believe the
8th.
leader will be Jeff Crivello in the 56. He is currently shown as the race leader. And it looks like these guys are respectively racing back to the line, so we'll have to see how it all cycles through, but that is going to turn this race upside down. Now, at least for Wesley, Paglia, and Novsker, they're not going to lose too many positions. They're going to still be restarting inside the top 10, but that track position may come in handy here in these last few laps here at Talladega.
Yeah, that was interesting, and I think what happened to Bernie Mobs was a mechanical issue.
We'll have to see how it all went down for him. We'll have to see if anyone comes down the pit lane. I don't think we will have any of our leaders come down, given that Crivello has come down the pit lane. But obviously all these guys on the lead lap right here, so I do believe Crivello did make his stop. I'm not 100% sure, though. Be interesting if all those guys had jumped Wesley and Paglia as it was. I don't think that's the case. I do believe Lombard might be the first guy on the racetrack who did make a stop. We're going to have to wait and see how this whole thing cycles through here. We're going to check and see who comes down the pit lane, and then review brought out the second caution of the night, only the second caution of the night, as a mechanical issue for Bernie Mobs down the backstretch brings it out. And it might shake up the entire completion of this race here on lap number 51 of 66.
Yeah, that definitely shook it up because I believe some of these drivers did make their pit stop, so they'll be good to go ahead of Grant Wesley and the rest of the leaders like Tim Nosker and Mark Paglia. Looks like.
And I do believe Crivello had made his stop, so Crivello would have cycled through to the race lead regardless. Very interesting right there. A lot of guys gonna take advantage of that, but I don't think the caution really did much. If anything, the caution might have hurt those guys who had good pit stops, because now they're gonna have the race leaders, or who were the race leaders before the cycle began, Grant Wesley and Paglia at Simnovsker, they're gonna be right on their tail now. Bernie Mobs in the 90 with an issue. Let's see what happened to him. It was coming off of the pit lane, and this might have been due to something on the pit stop, but right after the pit stop, the number 90 machine here trying to get up to speed. And keep in mind, too, Bernie Mobs was involved in the accident earlier on. And right there, oh wow, it just blew right up. And John Godfrey was right behind him when it occurred, and that's what's going to bring out the yellow. Tough break for Bernie Mobs. Now, at least for Bernie Mobs, he did salvage some points, but not going to salvage too much after a mechanical issue right there, and he's going to fall back through the running order a little bit more after that one. Going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out, though, for the race leaders. Of course, Bernie Mobs had lost the draft, and like I mentioned, was involved in that big accident that we had at the top of the race around lap 8, so odds are it wouldn't have been a good run regardless, but he is going to lose a lot of points because of that, and that could put him at risk of possibly getting eliminated next week, because obviously you have Metallic, Despirito, and Donnie Garrett, who are all going to be back there with him in the points. It could be interesting between those guys, because all those guys have potential of winning, and it should be interesting next weekend to see how it all plays out and who gets eliminated in the first round of the playoffs. But either way, we're going to have an interesting one here. I believe we're going to restart probably lap 54 of 66, so that would be 13 laps to go. Do you think we're going to be done with cautions now that these guys are bunched back up? Do you think it might get a little crazy here in these last few laps?
Yeah, they're bunched back up, so now it's definitely going to be crazy. The 3 drivers have been at the front, Grant Wesley and, Tim Nosker, Mark Paglia. They're now a little bit further back in the field. They obviously want to make their way back up to where they were, but they're going to have to come from, 8th, 9th, and 10th? Yeah, so that's going to be interesting. And, are they going to be able to get in line? They've been working together so well. Now 2 of them on the outside, 1 on the inside. I mean, maybe Paglia will somehow try and let the 88 down and get the 088 in. Have to
It'll
see.
be interesting to see how it works out for those guys. Of course, Richard Martin lost a lot of ground in the 43 machine, but at the moment, the highest chase driver in the field is now Terry Bombard in the 10. I mean, he's kind of been an outlier between a lot of these other chase drivers in the race. Obviously, Wesley, Paglia, and Novsker have all worked with each other here today, but Bombard's been all over the place, and now he's the one who's leading the charge here at Talladega, at least in respect to the chase drivers. Going to be restarting in the 3rd position, and the lights are still on the pace car, so it will most likely be lap 55, so 12 laps to go when we restart. To recap this race, lap number 8, we had a massive accident when David Lawson got clipped, and a lot of guys got caught up and got knocked out of the race, including chase drivers Josh Metallic and Joe DeSpirito, who had both won races this season, came in with 5 bonus points heading into the playoffs. Of course, before the race began, Donnie Garrett did not start as he was not here. He's on vacation right now. So coming into the next race, or going to the next race, I should say, it'll be interesting between Metallic, DeSpirito, Garrett, Bernie Mobbs, obviously with his issues. Bob Seminara as well has had a struggling day, but he is, as far as I know, still out there on the racetrack. And if I'm not mistaken, he may be the free pass car. So that caution, I think, helped out Seminara a little bit. But it'll definitely be interesting next week because 2 drivers, 2 lowest guys in points, will fail to make it onto the next round. And it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out for those guys. Terry Bombard is on the apron here. Uh-oh. Wondering what's going on there with the number 10 machine. That could be a penalty, possibly.
Yeah, I don't see anything about a penalty, but he did say he was pitting, so...
Very interesting.
What it could be.
Of course, he had already made his pit stop, so odds are we believe he would have been good to go on fuel. But he was the highest chase driver in the field at the time. I think it's going to go back to Grant Wesley now in the 88, who will be restarting now in the 7th position. So now it's going to shake up everything here. Wesley and Paglia, or excuse me, Wesley and Novsker are going to be on the inside, and Paglia is going to restart on the outside lane now.
Yeah. Now what do you do?
This is definitely going to get interesting. I think it may help in Wesley's and Novsker's favor if they can let Paglia in. I think they're going to have the preferred line for the restart, whereas the outside lane has definitely been strong, especially on the restarts, but I think that inside lane has worked in a lot better now. Richard Martin's going to be right with these guys as well. Of course, like we mentioned, did not have a good pit stop under that last cycle. He's going to be restarting right behind Jessica Shelton there on the inside lane. Go ahead and show you guys the full field here. It is going to be Jeff Crivello leading the field of the green flag in the 56 alongside him, Wiley Coate. Now it'll be Corey Deal in 3rd, restarting alongside Jeffrey Elliott in the 056. J.R. Deal going to be right behind the 944 with Michael Brown in 6th. Highest chase driver in the field, Grant Wesley, alongside Mark Paglia. Tim Novsker in the 088. Then we're going to have the 72 of Jim Glaude alongside him, Jessica Shelton, David Cannon, Richard Martin, John Godfrey, Wayne Pribnow, Cy Jones, Seth Cole, David Lawson is a lap down. Same with Brian Lovell. 08 of Glenn Harris, Dave Melson's a lap down, B. Ellisor on the lead lap, Perry Bond on the lead lap, and Terry Bombard, who just came down for a pit stop. The back of the field now in the 21st position. Bob Seminara, free pass car. He's on the lead lap now in 22nd, and I believe Chris Elliott, I knew was going to make that mistake at some point. That's a hard one. I'm sorry. He is also on the lead lap now as he took the free pass for the restart. Here we go. It'll be now 12 laps to go here at Talladega. Jeff Crivello, Wiley Coate, Corey Deal, Jeffrey Elliott, J.R. Deal, the top 5. None of them have won a race yet this season. Who's going to get it done here in the 11th race of the season in the Talladega Challenge for RTG?
Oh, that was an interesting restart for the outside. Michael Brown didn't really get going, got a huge shove from behind from Mark Paglia, and that really hurt the outside. It was a big stack-up effect. You can see how far back the outside of the groove fell.
And Crivello moved up to the outside lane, but Corey Deal has a huge run. And they got Grant Wesley and Tim Novsker on that inside lane. So that inside lane is going to be fast here. How about our pole sitter? As far as I know, he's yet to lead a lap in this race, but he might get an opportunity right here. He's got J.R. Deal right behind him. And it's a deadlock up front between Corey Deal and Jeff Crivello. But Deal on the inside of the huge run there from the 09, and it looks like the 944 is going to clear and take the race lead with 11 laps to go.
Let's make a deal, Corey Deal is saying. He's out to the front with JR Deal back behind. They're working together with the 88. Grant Wesley's probably at the most laps here today. Tim Nosker has been with them all day, and Jessica Shelton on the inside, Richard Martin, but now they're starting to get 3 wide. They're starting to get antsy.
Oh, JR Deal moved up a little bit, but he's going to peek back down to the inside. If I'm the Deals here, I don't want Wesley to get to the inside of you. I want to keep him behind you. Now, Wesley might try to work on the outside lane here. If he can get Novsker to come with him, that might be it for those guys. But Grant Wesley here in third. Points leader coming into this race, looking for an automatic ticket to the second round of the chase here in the Talladega Challenge. They're 3 wide behind them. Michael around. Wiley Coat in the 6th, and another wreck here at Talladega. Mark Paglia involved in the 28, but it is minor damage. He should be able to continue. Jeffrey Elliott, Cy Jones in the 7 also going around. And another caution here at Talladega. It will be Corey Deal, who barely won the race back to the line as the 88 had a run to the outside.
Whew.
Wow. He knew it was bound to happen.
Yeah, they were racing very, very aggressively. They knew it was money time.
Corey Deal out front in the 944, but Grant Wesley on that outside lane. And Tim Novsker, as far as I know, yeah, Novsker is going to be restarting right behind him, so it's going to be interesting. If that's given that Corey Deal takes the inside on the restart. Odds are I think he will.
Yeah.
We'll have to see. Of course, I think he wants the 09 behind him for that restart, I'm pretty sure. Wiley Coat going around the 6, a lot of damage. I think he may be the only one knocked out. But Mark Paglia, that's a big one right there. He was one of those guys who was running up front earlier on, and now he's going to fall back through the field. Have to see where Terry Bombard is. Of course, remember, he made his pit stop. He has moved his way up to 15th. Not the best of runs for him right there. But he did gain a few positions. Same with Bob Seminara. Bob Seminara, for a majority of this race, was a lap down, then took the wave around the last time by, and now here he is in the 16th position. But good opportunity at catching in on a few points. Corey Deal, the race leader, let's go ahead and see what happened to bring out the third caution. It was Wiley Coat in the number 6 machine going around. And I'll have to see here. He may have gotten caught up in someone else's mistake. You have the 56 behind him. This is a tough one. Jessica Shelton moved up slightly, just slightly.
All it takes.
And obviously it wasn't intentional at all. It just got a little tight into the corner. I think she was trying to hang the draft with Tim Novsker, and she got in the Wiley Coat there, and then the number 6 goes up. Mark Paglia there to the outside of the 56 of Jeffrey Elliott. And then Jim Gloud nowhere to go. David Cannon as well in the 60 of Perry Bond. Also caught up. Cy Jones going around in the 7. Nowhere near as violent as the first wreck that we had, but it might take out the 6 of Wiley Coat. Had a good run going for him in this race, but unfortunately got taken out there. And, I think, I'm wondering here. Number 6, he rear-ended the inside wall. That's what's going to end his day. That was a hard hit right there.
Launch the car in the air and upside down.
Tough break there for Wiley Coat in the 6 machine. Take a look and see what happened in real time. Jessica Shelton just got a little tight into the corner, and up into Wiley Coat she went. And just a racing deal right there, too. I mean, nothing Shelton did wrong. She just got a little tight. It's tough, these guys have done such a great job in this race. I mean, great job the whole season. Obviously, we've had our fair share of wrecks, but it is difficult to run a race here at Talladega when you're close to each other. And I think a lot of it is, too, you don't really get to feel the other cars around you. Obviously, it's sim racing, so you kind of have to get a feel for the game itself. And these guys have done a great job, but obviously one mistake can cause a big wreck here at Talladega. Unfortunately, that's what happened right there. Corey Deal, the race leader. This is going to be interesting because, Grant Wesley is going to be restarting on the outside lane or the inside lane, depending on which lane Corey Deal chooses. I would imagine he's going to go with the 09. We're just going to have to see if that is, in fact, the case. Jessica Shelton coming down the pit lane. I'm wondering if that was because of avoidable contact, possibly? Or...
Yeah, it looks like maybe a EOL.
Yeah, so she's going to come down top off because she's got an EOL anyway. And I believe Dave Melson's going to get back on the lead lap in the number 13. He'll take the wave around here.
You could believe it, the 6 is still running.
And Wiley Coe, he did. I mean, like you said, he took a hard hit there. But back out there. Of course, moderate damage on for these guys, so not realistic damage. He is a lap down, though, in the number 6 machine, so I don't believe he's going to be contending for the race victory here tonight, but going to try to salvage something out of this one. Definitely an interesting race so far. What are your thoughts on the whole deal so far here at Talladega?
Yeah, it's been crazy for sure, and it's been a little bit calmer than what I've seen in the past. The few races I've commentated for this league, it's been a little bit calmer, which has been very nice to see. We saw some green flag pit stops and definitely that caution during the pit cycles. But Grant Wesley, man, with Tim Nosker, they've been a great duo, and they've worked their way to the front. We'll see what they have on this last, which is going to be the last restart most likely. We'll see if they could do anything. If they get lined up, we'll have to see what Corey Dale takes, if he wants to take the bottom or the top. I would assume he takes the bottom on this, but you never know if he wants to try and split them up.
He could, yeah. It could be interesting. I mean, I think, obviously if you're Corey Dale, you want to win the race. I don't think, this is just my analysis. I don't think he's going to have a shot at winning the race if he throws off the lines like that. He has no need to, he's not racing for the points at this point, so he doesn't have a need to battle with Wesley or Notsker and try to affect their points day. So I do believe he's going to hold that inside and stick with JR Deal. As for Wesley and Notsker, though, they're going to be together on that outside lane. Mark Paglia, who was running with those guys a majority of this run, is not going to be with them now. But another guy who's moved his way through the field rather nicely is Richard Martin. He's going to be restarting on the inside lane there in 7th. But it's possible he could find his way up to Notsker and Wesley if things get crazy enough. So this could get a little interesting. Michael Brown, I mean, what a race for him there in that 0-20. 6th right now, going to be 6th on the restart right behind Notsker. And then in the 5th position is Jeff Gravello. Wayne Pribnow. How about Pribnow there in the 0-0? Inside the top 10, running 8th right now. Seth Cole is 9th. 7-11 at John Godfrey in 10th. A lot of guys who have not seen it all in this race. Now inside the top 10. That's how it always rolls here at Talladega. These guys, you don't really see them all race long. And then boom, right at the end, there they are, running up front.
Corey takes the bottom with JR.
Dave Melson, David Lawson taking the wave around. Corey Deal, Grant Wesley on the front row. JR Deal, Tim Notsker. Jeff Cravello, Michael Brown, Richard Martin, Rain Pribnow, Seth Cole, John Godfrey, David Cannon, Chris Elliott, who was a lap down earlier on, up in 12th. Terry Bombard up to 13th, trying to rebound. Bob Seminara, I think this is the best rebound of the day, honestly. He was a lap down a majority of this race, now inside the 14th position with a shot at a top 10. Perry Bond in the 15th position, and the 08 of Glenn Harris will be alongside him. And then BL Lasore, Jim Gloud, Mark Paglia, Jessica Shelton had an EOL for avoidable contact. Wiley Cope and Cy Jones, both of those guys. Actually, Wiley Cope's the only guy a lap down, as Melson and Lawson will get their laps back through the waiver round. Definitely an interesting one so far here at Talladega. How do you think this one's going to play out here in these final few laps?
Obviously, the deals are going to be working together. We've seen that. The 88s are going to be working together. Everything behind is going to be craziness. It's going to be whoever can get the best push on this restart. Obviously, you want the inside lane getting up to speed. We'll see if the deals can do a good job pushing to stay at least ahead of that 88 on the top. And we're probably going to be playing a game of deal or no deal. It will be deal winning or no deal winning.
We apologize for the puns.
Yeah.
Corey Deal, JR Deal on the inside, Grant Wesley, Tim Notsker on the outside lane. Of course, the top two on the outside lane, both chase drivers with Wesley and Notsker, both trying to get their ticket on the chase. Now, you got to think here for a second, too. Wesley and Notsker, they're battling with each other. Of course, they're great friends off the track, and they're going to help each other initially. But will Notsker try to make a move on Wesley for the win? Because that ticket to the next round is going to be very beneficial next week. Here we go. 6 laps to go. If we get a caution on this lap, I believe we have a 1-lap dash. Otherwise, the next flag ends the race. Corey Deal trying to get the jump. But Grant Wesley, 3-time winner this season, trying to work the outside lane with the 088 right behind him. But Corey Deal holding on to the inside here. JR Deal trying to hold with him. And then inside lane getting an advantage at the moment. Jeff Gravello here as well. What does Corey Deal do? Does he stick with the 09 or does he go up to block Wesley?
I think he has to stick with the 09 at this point. The 88's out there. They got a great push in that outside lane. We'll see what the Deals can do on the bottom. We'll see what the 88s can do on the top. 2x2, Grant getting a nice run on the top side with more momentum from behind as well. He might be able to get the run to get to the front off turn 4. We'll see what happens here, though.
They are still side by side, but like you mentioned, that outside lane gets a huge run, and Grant Wesley looking to lead this lap. JR Deal got a loose there on the inside. That might affect Corey Deal. At the stripe, it's Wesley who leads it with 5 laps to go. Corey Deal's going to do all he can to hold this inside lane for his first win of the season. We'll have to see if he can do so on the 88 at Grant Wesley.
And who's the first to get impatient on the outside and try to make it 3 wide and then maybe stall that lane out? Someone like Michael Brown. The 00 up there, you know, where does he come from? Does he try and do something at the end?
I believe Grant Wesley can clear Corey Deal now, that outside lane with so much momentum there with those 2 strong guys. There goes Nosker. Oh boy, that was a tight one right there, but he barely cleared Corey Deal.
Oh,
and JR Deal got loose. He's on the apron and he's gonna save it. I don't know how he saved it, but he saved it.
Oh my gosh.
And now things are really going to get interesting. Tim Nosker and Grant Wesley side by side for the race lead. But Wesley with the outside lane, he's got Michael Brown pushing him up there, and Nosker's not getting any help there on the inside lane. That 09 getting loose really affected the momentum there on the inside. It's 4 laps to go. Grant Wesley out front here at Talladega.
Yeah, that should have been the race right there. That should have been the race back to the line, but a great save by Jared Deal keeps this race green. Now let's see what these drivers can do, Grant Wesley and Tim Nosker. Michael Brown getting a nice push on the outside. Does he try and move low now? Can he move low?
I have a feeling, you know, if Michael Brown is going to have a shot, he might try to stick behind Wesley and try to clear Nosker, but he can't do so now. Nosker with a run back to the inside here. Keep in mind, Tim Nosker is yet to win a race this season. A win would put him in the next round of the chase. For Michael Brown, all he's doing is winning for the heck of it. We'll have to see if he can do so. But Grant Wesley, dominant guy of the season, dominant guy of the race, looking for his 4th win of the season and a ticket to the second round of the chase.
And you look at the front, like the only winner up here in this, you know, front 7 or so is Grant Wesley. He's won 3. The rest of these drivers, even though Nosker's in the chase, he hasn't won. So all these drivers up here basically searching for their first win besides the racer Wesley, but Nosker's getting a nice push on the inside, keeping it with, trying to do something. Michael Brown's hoping he could try and get the push to get clear of that inside to move down.
Yeah, but here comes Nosker. He's got a run there. Going to have that short way around the racetrack, and Nosker might get a nose to the inside of Wesley. We'll have to see if Wesley gets a run on the outside, but Corey Deal doing a heck of a job pushing Nosker to the race lead, but Wesley on the outside lane here. And you got to think, too, you got Wayne Pribb now right behind Michael Brown. Neither of those guys have been up front. Well, Brown has been up front a little bit in this race, but Pribb now has been nowhere to be seen up front in this race. Here he is inside the top 5. 2 laps to go here in the 11th race of the season in the Talladega Challenge. Grant Wesley continues to lead, but will Nosker get the advantage in the 088? It's going to be close here at Talladega.
We are 2 by 2 here at Talladega, 4 rows deep, 3 wide behind. Look at them trying to get side drafted at the front of the field. Nosker has been getting a better push on the inside the last few laps. He's done a great job getting beneath Grant Wesley and keeping it down there. He has an advantage right here through now 3 and 4. We're coming to the white flag. It's going to be all out from there.
Don't look now. Jessica Shelton working a 3rd lane on the outside. Guys like Wayne Pribb now. There goes Godfrey in the 7-11. He's looking to the outside, but he's not going to take it. Here we go. We're going to have an official finish in this race. White flag in the air here at Talladega for Grant Wesley, just by a nose ahead of Tim Nosker. If either of these top 2 guys win, it's an automatic chase spot to the next round. Richard Martin got out of line.
Save.
Jessica Shelton had to save it, but somehow they don't wreck. That's going to hold up the outside lane. The inside lane has an advantage. Nosker pushing on the inside of Grant Wesley. They're still side by side. The outside lane's getting a much better momentum run now. Wesley trying to hold on, but Nosker's still there on the inside lane. They're deadlocked up front. Coming to the checkered flag here at Talladega. Nosker with a huge push there from Corey Deal.
Can he block?
He'll go up to block Wesley. He's not going to do it. Wesley's got to run on the outside. Nosker bumps Wesley. Here we go. Oh, boy, it's going to be a tight one. Get out those cameras side by side at the line. Oh, no, I think it was Nosker. I think the 088 got him, and he did. Tim Knopsker, first win of the season in the Talladega Challenge by hardly anything at all ahead of Grant Wesley. And Tim Knopsker, he's going to be on to the second round of the chase here in the Talladega Challenge. How about that? He got him at the perfect time. Winner here in the 11th race of the season. It's Tim Knopsker in the 088.
How does 4 1,000ths of a second sound for that margin of victory? What a great charge by Knopsker on that inside. Definitely, I mean, he did he was perfect on that inside. He held it beneath that 88, got some help from behind when the outside kind of faded there with only 3 cars really on the outside, but Wesley did a great job trying to get the side draft, trying to slow that momentum of the 088, but Tim Knopsker eked it out there at the end by 4 1,000ths of a second.
It doesn't get any better than that, let me tell you that much. Wow. No. Wow. Tim Knopsker. How about that one? First win of the season. Came in without a race victory. He is going to win this one. And he's going to burn it down here for his first win of the season and a ticket to the second round of the chase. Great job out of Knopsker here. The 11th race of the season.
Picked the perfect time to win his first race of the season.
Go ahead and replay that. What a finish there at the line. And I've done NR for a long time, and I've seen finishes by absolutely nothing. But that was really fun, and I always love it when you know who wins, especially in this game. Here we go. This is the race to the finish. Knopsker had that advantage. Wesley was starting to get a push on the outside lane. Look at that right there. Hardly anything at the line.
I mean, you want to know how close it was? The battle for third, the outside guy got it, even though the inside lane was ahead. That's how
Michael
close
Brown
it
finishing
was.
third here tonight, and the 944 Corey Deal finishing fourth. But right there, that was the margin of victory between Knopsker and Wesley. What a run to the finish here at Talladega. This series never disappoints, and it sure did not disappoint here tonight. The number 7, or should you say the number 088 of Tim Knopsker, your race winner. Grant Wesley finishing second, Michael Brown, Corey Deal, Wayne Primnow in fifth, Jeff Cravella, Richard Martin, John Godfrey, Bielosor, Jessica Shelton, the top 10. Then Chris Elliott, Terry Bombard, Seth Cole, David Cannon, Glenn Harris, Jim Glad, Mark Paglia finishing in 17th. Not exactly where he was running a majority of that race. Donnie Jones, Perry Bond, and Bob Seminara finishing 20th after he was a lap down a majority of the race. J.R. Deal fell all the way back to 21st. Dave Melson also finishing on the lead lap. Then Wiley Cote a lap down. David Lawson 3 laps down. And then out of the race, Jeffrey Elliott in the 056 was caught up in that second accident. Brian Lovell also out of the race. Bernie Mobbs was out of the race. Obviously saw what happened to him. Bob Dixon, Joe DeSpirito, Greg Lovell, Frank Rivard, Ronald Lucet, Josh Metallic, and Jack Dussault all out from that first accident that we had back on lap number 9. So Tim Knopsker, he's on to the next round. Grant Wesley with a lot of points here, but imagine with all the bonus points he had that he should be good to go as well. Great run for Richard Martin. He was the third highest chase driver to finish here today. Then Terry Bombard in the 10. Then Mark Paglia in the 17. Bob Seminara in the... Mark Paglia finished in 17th position. He doesn't drive the 17, excuse me. Bob Seminara finishing 20th. Bernie Mobbs finishing in the 27th position. Josh Metallic finishing 33rd. Joe DeSpirito finishing 29th. And, of course, Donnie Garrett failed to start. The chase drivers were all over the place finishing here today. How do you think it's going to make the race next week? How do you think it's going to play out, I should say, for the race next week? Knowing that all these guys are all over the place in the points, and they got to beat one of those top 8 guys in points to make it on to the next round.
Yeah, and especially since, you had some big names that had some bonus points coming in. DNF from this one. Josh Metallic, he came in with 5 points after winning a race. You had Joe DeSpirito with his 5 points. Those bonus points for winning a race now used up, and then you had, obviously Donnie Garrett not start. He had 5 bonus points. And then the 90, Bernie Mobbs out. He didn't have any bonus points to fall back on. So those 4 drivers are going to be fighting to not get eliminated. And then obviously other people are going to be in the danger zone too if they get involved in a crash. So it's going to be very interesting next race to see how that cutoff goes.
It definitely will be. We'll get some interviews here in a moment. Obviously, the winner of the race, Tim Knopsker, by 4/1000ths of a second at the line ahead of Grant Wesley. And I mean, you got to give a lot of credit though to Michael Brown as well. We're going to interview Michael Brown, and I think one of his first starts of the season. He did such an excellent job in this one, finishing on the podium in third position. And Corey Deal, you know, we got to give a lot of credit to him. He held on to a top 5 run there, and I think some of us are probably rooting for him to get that race victory. He couldn't pull it off, but did a great job. Wayne Prim now finishing in the 5th position, but with all that took place, you know, how crazy do you think the next race is going to be?
Oh, it's gonna be insane. That's for sure. I mean, this one was crazy. Next one, I don't see being any tamer.
And we got Grant Wesley and Tim Nofsker both in here. You guys put on one of the best finishes I've seen in quite some time. 4/1000ths of a second, and it's Tim Nofsker with the race victory. We'll start with you, Grant, though. You were running that outside lane that whole way through, and you had the run. Did you think you might get him at the line coming to the checkered flag?
Man, that was so much fun there the last few laps. Really, you never know what's going to happen. But yeah, Michael Brown was behind me, and I noticed I was kind of watching my mirror. I was paying attention to the guys who were pushing real good, and I knew Mike was one of the guys who was pushing good throughout the race. And so yeah, I was confident when I moved up there. Corey, I know Corey was behind Tim, and he's a good pusher too. So it was just I knew it'd be a drag race to the finish.
It was definitely a really great race between the two of you there, and you led the most laps in this one, I do believe. But great points there regardless for you, and now go to you, Tim. You held that inside lane there. You made the move on Grant Wesley with about 5 laps to go, I do believe. But you didn't, as far as I know, lead a lap until the checkered flag. How did you do it there on that final lap?
Well, through the middle of the race, I was definitely dedicated to Grant, and Mark Paglia did a great job. The three of us were in a nice tight draft, and we were doing good. But I'm a little further back in points than Grant is. So when I saw the opportunity, I had to take it. That's usually the way we run, help each other till the end, and then all bets are off. But it was a great run, by Grant and Corey Deal. If he hadn't been pushing me at the end there, I would have never got it. So I owe him a beer, I think.
Well, you guys put on such a great show there near the end, and we had a blast calling it. But Tim, that's your first win of the season. You finally got one, and you're on to the second round of the chase. So how does that kind of relieve the stress for you heading into the next race?
It relieves it a lot. I was actually watching the last broadcast from Rhode Island. I had to move my son out there last week. That's why I missed. And was lucky to even kind of back into the chase. And now that I have a win, that does take a lot of pressure off for next week.
Well, great job to both of you. Put on such a great show, and both of you guys are going to be looking pretty good netting in the next week. Whereas Grant Wesley gained a lot of points, had all the bonus points heading in as well, and with everyone else having their issues, imagine you two guys can probably rest a little bit easier next week heading into the last race of the first round. But either way, congratulations to both of you guys, and especially to you, Tim, for your first win of the season, and had such a blast calling that finish with you guys going side by side to the line.
Absolutely. Can I give a quick shout out to you guys for putting on the broadcast, Rolling Thunder Gaming for providing a great place to race. I also want to give a shout out to my daughter, Lexi, and her husband, Dan. They were watching the broadcast. They watch every broadcast I'm in, and I finally got them a win. So I feel vindicated after the way the season's gone.
I'm sure you made them proud, but either way, congratulations on your win, and congratulations, Grant, on your great one. And good luck next week, and good luck throughout the rest of the season here in the Talladega Challenge.
All right, thanks, guys.
And that's Tim Nofsker and Grant Wesley side by side at the line by 4/1000ths of a second here at Talladega. And I don't know, do we have anybody else who going to be interviewing? Michael Brown there finished in the 3rd position. Actually, I just noticed this. Michael Brown and Corey Deal were actually tied for the 3rd position. They have the same amount of difference between the two of them, 62/100ths of a second at the line. That's how close it was back in there in that pack. But what a wild race between those guys. But how about that, Joe? Just a really cool finish here at Talladega.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the most entertaining online finishes I've ever seen, and very clean as well. 2x2 to the stripe. That didn't wreck behind somehow, some way, and just basically a perfect ending. You can't ask for anything better than that.
Definitely can't. Either way, we thank you guys so much for watching here from Talladega in the 11th race of the season. Only had 2 cautions. It was a great race all around, and definitely going to be interesting to see how the rest of the season plays out. Only 4 races left to go. Of course, we have the last race in the round of 10, I should say, and then after that, it's the round of 8, and then in the finale on race 15. It is the final 4, and the highest finisher between those 4 drivers wins the championship. And at a place like Talladega, that can definitely get interesting. But either way, Joe, final thoughts on this race? I believe we might be done for the night.
Yeah, it was a great race. We saw it go clean and green, maybe the longest I've ever seen in this at Talladega. I don't think I've ever seen one go clean and green quite like this. We saw green flag pit stops and some strategy plays with cautions coming out and whatnot. It's just very, very entertaining all the way through.
Definitely was, and definitely looking forward to see how it all goes down. And these final 4 races should be good here from Talladega. But either way, that's it for us here from the Talladega Super Speedway. We thank you guys. Oh, we got Richard Martin here. Hang on just a second. Richard Martin, 3rd highest chase driver finishing in this race, finishing the 7th position. It was an up and down day for you. Got caught up in that first accident, but managed to get a top 10. What was your whole perspective of all that was going on in that one here?
It was started out good, and then I was involved in that first wreck, and went into the pits to get it fixed, and they hammered on it quite a bit. So I didn't really think I was going to have much after that. But surprisingly, the car was still pretty fast, and especially when I had somebody behind me pushing me, I could keep up with the field with no problem at all. So, and it worked out good at the end. Got a nice top 10.
Yeah, definitely a great run for you there in the number 43. Of course, you'll definitely benefit in the points with that one. I believe you'll probably be 3rd in the points heading into the next race. But either way, you won that really crazy race that I did about a month ago in race number 7. And this one was crazy at the begin, but a nice top 10 run there on the number 43 machine. Good luck on the rest of the season, and I have to see. Hopefully, you can make it into the next round next week.
Yeah, thank you. Hopefully, been having a lot of good luck lately, but maybe sooner or later that might run out. But just have to see. Thank you guys for thank you Flatout Racing for broadcasting. Thank you to RTG, and thank you Terry and Bones. Thank you Josh for hosting, Sean Prime, all the usuals, and yeah, it was a great race, all except for, like I said, getting involved in that first wreck, and pretty much kept out of trouble after that and brought it home in the top 10.
Well, there's only 4 races left, so if time runs out after that, you're good to go. Either way, Richard Martin there, 3rd highest chase driver, finished 7th here tonight at Talladega, and he should be 3rd in the points heading into the 2nd race of the round of 10 next weekend. But either way, a huge thanks to Seth Cole, the guys at FRN, for letting me and Joe call this race for you guys. Had a blast doing this one. 4 1,000ths of a second at the line for Tim Knopsker in his first win of the season here in the RTG Talladega Challenge. Thank you guys so much for watching. On behalf of Joe Rutkowski and all the guys at RTG and FRN, right night, and we'll see you guys for the next race here on the Flatout Racing Network. Ben Alexander Graham, signing out. Have a good night, and I will see you guys later.